All right, what is up, guys? Man, Rudolphus here, man. We're back with another episode of God of High School, GOH, man. Um, like I said, everyone's really kind of excited about this series, and it never disappoints every episode we seem to get. But anyways, yeah, we have basically just got into let me see what I want to start. I guess we just start here. We'll start with the episode, right? That's a lot I want to talk about. But I'll kind of make this quick because there's a lot of outside things in this episode I want to talk about besides just what the exact events that happened in the episode. So we'll start with the beginning, right? Also, guys, go ahead. I'm gonna say it now, man. Just go ahead, hit that subscribe button, man, because we made this exact prediction last week, and obviously it's not, not really the greatest prediction I can point at because it was a little obvious. But I obviously said that we were gonna get. I told you this exact episode we were gonna get Han and Mira or Han and you in this episode. I said it, and but it's not really fair. I've read the webtoon a long time ago, a little bit of it, and it comes back to me a little bit every once in a while when I start watching these episodes. So it's not really fair. And my predictions though do come based off the anime, so I don't really give out spoiler type deals. But if I see something in anime, I'm like, well, this kind of just points out that this fight's gonna happen. But yeah, whatever. Let's get into the episode though, right? Just know though I have spot on predictions. Just that's all I want to say about that. But so episode started off with did it start with you Mira? You Mira was did it start off with you Mira? Did it have something else going on with it? The very first minute of it. Oh, okay, yeah, it was you Mira, Jin, and Han. They were walking, and this was a foreshadow event. By the way, they said the very first thing he said, like the beginning, the first seconds of the episode and the last seconds of the episode is a total flip, right? So Han told Ymira, he said, please, he said, be gentle with me in our fight or whatever like that. And if you've seen the end of the episode, which obviously if you're here, please go watch the episode first, then come to this video, because this is the review of the episode, right? So it makes sense to see the episode first. But yeah, if you seen the episode, we'll get to the end of it. But yeah, it was a total flip. In the beginning, he said be gentle, and then if you saw what happened at the end, whoa, it was he was lying. Nah, but anyways, yes. So Han was just basically like be gentle, and it just kind of once again was to show their friendship, right? So how they've all really enjoyed each other's friendship, basically, as well as how everyone feels about each other. Jin wants to fight both of them, and Miri and you and Han, all had this kind of good relationship going on since the episode one, right? This episode four now had a strong relationship since episode one. And then after that, right? And note this, guys. The tournament. This is a subdivision right now. They're planning to go to I think the national tournament or world tournament, right? Something like that. So right now they're not. This isn't the full and final tournament. We're yet to get to that. So just keep that in mind that there is more to come with this. There's another. This is like just the semifinals in a sense, right? So once after whoever wins this tournament moves on to like a bigger God of High School tournament. So just keep that in mind there. So these characters at the moment they are relevant because they're in a tournament now, but obviously um, they're not always going to be in a tournament. So there will still be important side characters later on, but at the same time, as far as their in tournament involvement goes, this is kind of as far as we'll see it, right? So yes, there'll still be good friends though later, if I remember correctly. Not to spoil anything, but that should be well, maybe that's a spoiler. Well, anyways, um, yeah. So going on because we'll talk about the hunt situation. We talk about that, so you guys have a better understanding of that in a minute. Um, where I want to start now. Okay, so we're getting you Miri, right? We're getting her situation, right? Her ordeal. This man basically approached her, said, will you marry me? I want to kind of he basically made his offer to her was basically I can improve your the dojo, right? The sun moon, right? Sailor. I don't know why I completely forgot the name, but the Moonlight Sword style. He was basically wanting to improve, or he wanted to basically make that sword style basically world renowned and shoot, even make it an Olympic event, something like that. Make the dojo as popular as karate, things like that, right? Because that's her father's dreams. She wants to keep the dream alive and get the sword style alive and all that, the dojo and stuff alive. So that's her whole purpose in this, right? So and this episode really did a really good job, and you gotta really dig deep in this episode. It did a really good job, and like I said, we'll cover all that in just a second. But there's a lot that I think a lot of people may have missed at face value of this episode. But yeah, we're trying to get to all that, right? So basically, yeah, so he offered her that much. And we're gonna, since we have so much like outside stuff to cover, we're gonna kind of skip a little bit around on the actual events of the episode. So basically, like, I want to marry you because I feel like I can prove your dojo, but his secret intentions were actually to he needed her the hand of the successor and that sword basically for a reason, and I think it was a cult. We didn't hear much about it at the time, but this is also the same cult we saw earlier. But yeah, so we really can't talk much about it now because the anime hasn't given us much information about it now. So yeah, we'll leave that at what it is for now. But yeah, so he has reasons for doing what he's did, because apparently that sword is supposed to be super powerful, right? And yeah, so going forward though, Jin and Han were basically went to stop the marriage. The uncle didn't want the marriage to happen. The cousin didn't want the marriage to happen. Right, all that stuff happened, and basically, the marriage got stopped. Right, by Han and Jin, and essentially she realized that she should do it her own way or with her own hands, and not really use handouts, and do it, you know, do it the way her father probably would have wanted her to do it, and that's basically essentially do it in a way she wanted to do. Now we got another glimpse too. We don't have much information on it as far as the anime goes, but those basically like it's almost like a Yu-Gi-Oh summoning, right? Like with these monsters that kind of come out of these their bodies, right? In a sense, we ain't heard much about it in the anime, so I won't get too much into it. Because I'm trying to keep this anime friendly, right? So, um, yeah. So just know that those are, very those are gonna start popping up, and it also shows. It kind of shows the power scaling, right? In this sense of maybe if you thought this was gonna be like a strictly martial arts type tournament, yeah, you got another thing coming. It's gonna be some definitely some big like robot type mecha type deals going on soon enough. But yeah, it's just that will start coming around a little bit more. It's just like kind of like an extension of their bodies type, their will and things like that. And so basically they will we'll start seeing more of those. Just know that's the second time we've seen it. Just kind of pointing it out there. And here, so they stopped the marriage, and then the guy took her sword, and she basically at this point in the series, she didn't even care anymore, right? Because remember how much the sword meant to her when Jean accidentally threw it in the lake, right? And she was really upset about it, and now her perspective has changed so much that she doesn't even care about just that specific sword anymore, but just more so about the spine style, right? So that's all she really cares about, and improving the dojo in her own way with her own hands and things like that. So her whole perspective has changed. So if you think about that, that almost changes her whole. It changes her role in the story, right? Once her perspective changes, her role in the story changes. She's no longer needed in this tournament, right? So, because her whole purpose of the tournament was to basically essentially bring back life into the dojo and things like that. Well, now it she doesn't feel she needs the tournament even to do that, or even another person to do that. So her perspective on this changes. So now her reason to really fight has kind of went down in the same sense, right? So but obviously she's still gonna fight, but yeah, her perspective changes, and I feel like that's really good story writing to kind of put that together, right? As soon as her, like, and that's why we kind of really emphasized her on this episode, right? If you felt like that was unnecessary, it's so many like reasonings between this episode, and that's what makes it so many good, so many things happen that really connect, right? So at the same time, Yeah, so she didn't no longer need to be in a tournament, so it's just why she was basically eliminated. So she lost at the perfect time, and that's essentially why we had this backstory, or not backstory. We had a different story, this episode than we're used to. We're used to just seeing straight, just hands thrown every episode so far. But episode 4 was a little different in a good way. So after that, right, then we switched to Han, right? So I kind of kept that. I just explained Yu's whole story in like 3 minutes when that was like 15 minutes of the episode, I'm pretty sure. So we're gonna go into Han now. Same guys that were like, messing with him earlier about his friend did it again, and as we saw this time, we saw he kept his cool, perfectly cool the first time that happened. This time he just completely just brutalized them this time and just gave him the combo. So we saw that he left them bruised and beaten at the end of that episode, at the end of that confrontation compared to the first time, right? So just like how you mirrors her perspective changed at the beginning of the other series, and how his, Han's perspective has changed. Okay, just like how Yu's perspective has changed, Han's perspective has changed, and in that same sense, he's basically flipped from, really, trying to emotions weren't getting too involved to now his emotions were like all into play. So before you guys get so upset about that situation at Han, just know that he did what he did. Basically it was better storytelling that he did do that. Before you guys just felt like it was unnecessary. It was basically to get you guys, the readers and the watchers, upset at him, so that when the fight happens between Han and him, you have more you're more excited about the fight, and you're more you're more fighting for Jin's cause at this point, because it was a big, like, what's Jin really fighting for, right? Is he really fighting for, is Jin Muri really fighting for anything important compared to what we see Han has to fight for, right? So it would have been a big kind of like confusion there. We would have been like kind of looking at ourselves like, who do we really want to win this fight? But now, after Han's actions, we're more so seeing him as the bad guy now, right? Instead of the good guy. So we're pushing more for Jin this next episode, but at the same time, that's really just so to shift our like moral compass, right? So in a sense, we would have been maybe leaning for Han to win just because we may feel more for his friend. We feel like Han has more riding on his fight than Jin. So we might have been really conflicted at first, but now after these actions he's done, beating up you, and then also those guys at the thing, we know now we kind of lean more for Jen to win, and that's kind of uh, I just feel like great storytelling there in that sense. So that's kind of what they did it for. Don't be so upset about it. Just know that there was a reason that actions happened that way. And yeah, so we're gonna see Jen and Han next episode, which if wasn't obvious already from the whole episode, you should have known. But yeah, so that's what we're looking forward to, and I think that's pretty much I think that's it for this video. We'll be back next week when next episode drops on Monday. They come out Monday, by the way.